Good evening and welcome to episode 66 of the Jacksonian. I'm yours truly, Jackson Johnson, and I have with me is the South Carolina football women's basketball beat writer at Greenville News, Lulu Kesin, as we'll be going over our take on the South Carolina women's basketball program and their trip to the Final Four, our take on Dawn Staley, what 2025 is looking like for South Carolina football, and much, much more. Let me tell you something, folks. It's going to be a wild ride. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on. And before we get things started, just like tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I moved here from Massachusetts a year ago. I grew up and went to college in Massachusetts. I have worked at the Boston Globe. I interned at Sports Illustrated, and then I worked at the Ringer for about a year before I took this job. And I just made it on my 1 year anniversary of working down south and covering South Carolina. And yeah.
Oh man, how's the one? Well, I want to say happy anniversary to your 1 year anniversary at the Greenville News.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
How you liking the South so far?
It's very hot in the summer, which is still something I'm not used to, but I do love it. And I've met some really, really great people, and I love my job. So, all good vibes.
Well, I'll tell you this, at least in South Carolina, y'all know what the weather is and what it isn't going to be. Alabama, it's all 4 seasons in the state and all
Yeah,
in one day.
gotcha. Yeah, Massachusetts was a bit like that. So, I appreciate the predictability aspect of it all.
Well, we'll get things started with the women's basketball program. And it appears to me like Dawn Staley's been doing a fantastic job. Like, they're going to be playing Texas on Friday, of course. And, if they win or lose, like if they win, they're going to be in the Natty playing the winner of UCLA UConn, which I believe they played each other already. So they're going to be getting a shot at revenge in the Natty either way. So that's going to be fun. And if they do win it all, it's going to be the third one in 4 years. That's pretty cool right there. What's your take on what this season has been like for the basketball program?
Yeah, obviously, when you go 38 and 0 and win a national title, expectations are, high and the standard is raised. But I do think that South Carolina has had their fair share of great moments this season, even with the heightened expectations and, losing two key players. But I think that with their new additions and just the team atmosphere and everything like that, I think South Carolina has proven that they're a dominant program, regardless of the fact that they've lost 3 games compared to last year when they lost none. So it's exciting to see them back in the Final Four. It's exciting that they'll be playing Texas for the fourth time this season, which is so funny and nothing that I don't think any of us reporters are fully used to. Um, but at the same time, it's good, healthy competition, and Texas is obviously a very defensive sound team, as is South Carolina. So overall, Dawn Staley's done a really great job with the Gamecocks again this season. And based on, everything I know about her coaching and the team's work ethic, I'm not the slightest bit surprised that they're back in a familiar spot.
Oh man, like I'll tell you, from what I've seen, she's been tremendous for the program. And,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at her coaching record, like the first 5 years. Like, let's look at that for a sec. It wasn't looking so hot. It looks like they weren't anywhere near a natty. And all I could say is like thank God she didn't start coaching during this era. Otherwise, she'd have been in trouble. Because I'm looking at the the coaching career. Like Temple, she did pretty good there. So I'm looking at 10, 14, 18, 25 wins like the first 4 years. Man, that sounds a lot like how Frank Beamer started out at Virginia Tech. Like the Beamer era is not looking so hot. Same thing with like Coach K at Duke. The first few years, not looking so hot. Thank goodness they didn't start coaching in the 2010s and the early 2020s. Like, because like if you're coaching during that time, you're in trouble. It's like some people want quick results, quit fast in a hurry, but not everything's going to be quit fast in a hurry. Sometimes it takes long, hard journeys to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I definitely do think that Dawn has, built a mini and up and coming dynasty in South Carolina. And I do think that a lot of athletic directors and just in the NIL and transfer portal era, that there's a lot of people who don't trust these coaches long term and maybe are looking for immediate results, which are close to impossible. And so it's incredibly impressive that even though the early years of, what Dawn has done, she went to her first Final Four 10 years ago, exactly. So within a 10-year period, she's played in 7 Final Fours. She's won 3 national championships, which is just incredible numbers. So yeah, it took some time, but it's really nice to kind of see the benefits of long-term work and long-term success. And she built a program that is now just basically looked at as basketball excellence. And although it's been, nearing 20 years since she arrived, it still feels like she got a lot done in a short amount of time.
Oh yeah. And it's a good thing that she's in the Hall of Fame because, like, let's be honest, I'm glad she is because, like, she is Hall of Fame material.
Totally.
Like, I mean, because, like, I may be a moron about women's basketball, but I at least know who should be in the Hall of Fame and who shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. It's like the first names that come to mind for me are Gino, Pat Summitt, Kim Mulkey, like the magic she's done at Baylor and LSU, and now Dawn Staley. I mean that's that Mount Rushmore for women's basketball head coaches for me.
Totally. I definitely agree with that list for sure.
I mean it's the best one I could come up with at the moment, but I'll make sure to come up with more and study more. But that's why I have experts like yourself coming on here.
I appreciate that. That's very sweet.
I always mean what I say. But little subject that I think I know a little more about. The 2025 college football season for South Carolina. Now, last season, sloppy start, 3-3. Some people throwing the baby out with the bathwater on Shane Beamer. But that Oklahoma game where South Carolina and Shane Beamer is returning to Norman, Oklahoma for the first time since he left for South Carolina when he was at Oklahoma. 6 straight wins. Lost to Illinois, but that doesn't really shatter the momentum that South Carolina seems to have built for 2025. Do we see a 10-win season, top 4 finish in the SEC? Because I'll be real, if you finish in the top 4 in the SEC or in the Big Ten, you're in the playoffs. But what do you think, Lulu?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about South Carolina that was promising last year is that they were, towards the end of the season having a lot of success with a quarterback who was in his first year as a starter. So I think that just having Lenora Sellers be so comfortable from the jump, and also not like he was grappling with a lot of on and off ankle injuries to start the season last year. So I think that Shane is probably even more confident heading into this year, knowing that his quarterback is, a redshirt sophomore, not a redshirt freshman. And that's a huge difference. And although they obviously lost some really key players, especially on defense, they have a lot of young talent. And I think that if anything, Shane has proven that he can handle, depth. He can build players in a program. And so I think that heading into 2025, Shane probably feels a little bit better because his team is less of a mystery, because last year with so much youth and so many transfers, it wasn't, there wasn't a clear picture on how the season was going to go.
Well, and I'm looking at that week 1 match. I still call it the Chick-fil-A kickoff, but that's one of the 2 AFLAC kickoffs. South Carolina, Virginia Tech. Now, I keep thinking about this because Shane Beamer's dad, of course, Frank, was the coach of Virginia Tech. And it has similar vibes to Notre Dame, South Florida in 2011, to where like Skip Holtz was at South Florida, where he's going up against his dad's old team, Notre Dame. And I think it was on ESPN. It was on a Sports Center episode, or like somebody was promoting college football final. But like Lou Holtz who is notorious for picking Notre Dame in every game constantly, went with South Florida because, well, my son's going up against Notre Dame. And I can't help but feel like we're gonna be seeing Frank Beamer where he's just like, look, I love the school that I coached at and went to school at, but I gotta pull for my son. I cannot wait to see this game. This feels really underrated. We're only 150 days as of this time we're pre-recording that. Can this be a momentum changer? Like, can we see them be unbeaten going into LSU?
I think so. I do think so. I think also a lot of people were so disappointed, even though South Carolina beat Old Dominion in the season opener. They were just disappointed in how South Carolina played. And so I think that having, again, like it goes into kind of just being more confident in sellers from week one. And I think that they absolutely have the potential to be undefeated heading into the LSU matchup, especially that is on the road this year. There's a lot that's going to go into it because of last year and the history in 2024. So I think South Carolina could be, it could get in its own way in some way. It kind of felt like that was the theme of last year, just self-inflicted mistakes. And I think if that's a focus heading in and earlier. And the other thing is, I think that they saw all they wanted was to make the playoffs last year. That was sort of come, end of December, I should say. Like that's really when a lot of the dialogue was about making the playoffs or end of November into December. And so I think they're regretful for maybe how they played in some regard to start the season, and knowing that it ultimately, a lot of people like to say, oh, it was one penalty that cost them the playoffs. Like, no, they blew a 14-point lead in the LSU game. And so I think that little things like that, they're going to remember that, like, oh, we're playoff contenders, but we need to play like that from week one. So we're not sitting out of the playoffs again because of how we played, weeks 2 through 4.
Well, and the fact is, like, they also blew it against the Crimson Tide. This is coming from a Crimson Tide Live co-host at the Voice of College Football, and I was like, Alabama almost blew it against South Carolina. We almost, I mean, how do you forget to recover an onside kick? Good grief. You're lucky South Carolina didn't beat you. And I'm going to tell you right now, that South Carolina game, I've got my eye on that. South Carolina, Alabama, October 25th. That looks like a game changer for playoff standings for the SEC, because like Alabama's coming off a top-notch matchup against Tennessee. And what's going to happen is everybody's rocking and rolling in Columbia, South Carolina, Williams-Brice Stadium, which it could be on Saturday night, could be on Saturday afternoon. Way too early to tell what time it's going to be on. I would not be surprised if South Carolina won this matchup and basically clinched a spot for the playoffs, either with a victory against Alabama or like a victory against Clemson. But how are you feeling about that little back half of 2025?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough. Obviously, again, like South Carolina beating Clemson the way that they did this year, so much emotions go into it. Clemson, South Carolina already is a huge rivalry game, but when you win on a 3rd and 18 drive or drive on 3rd and 18, and you're that, Clemson obviously still ended up making the playoffs, but a lot of emotion there. It's tough. Ole Miss, an incredibly talented team, and then having to go to College Station again after, kind of destroying A&M at home. It's a tough schedule for sure, and I'm curious to kind of see how they manage it, because last year they were riding so much momentum in some of those big games late, and so I'm not saying that they only won because of momentum, but I'm curious to see sort of how that factors in when certain games are late in the year.
You know what's weird that I've noticed that who's not on 2025 and 2024? Georgia. No Georgia. That's so weird.
No Georgia, yeah. No
I mean,
Texas, obviously.
I mean, I don't think anybody's going to be too broke up about South Carolina, Texas 9. He's like, when's South Carolina, Texas? Like, nobody's upset about that in South
Right.
Carolina. This whole thing. They're like, when are we having Texas? Said nobody.
Yeah.
But South Carolina, Florida, that's more of like a Steve Spurrier battle. Because it was like they try to make something of it, but it's just like, I mean, it's like You have Will Muschamp. No, you have Will Muschamp. It's like, no.
Yeah.
He's worse than Donald Duck when he's mad.
That's funny.
Well, the South Carolina Clemson rivalry. Now, Dabo has been able to get Clemson beating South Carolina, but he's been having a hard time with Shane Beamer. That's something I've noticed about Clemson under Beamer. Which they can't get it done a lot against Shane Beamer, and they couldn't quite get it done against Spurrier. Because, like, matter of fact, yeah, they beat South Carolina in '08 on November 29th, '08 on ESPN2 when Dabo was the interim coach. And that last time Spurrier Sweeney went against one another, Clemson ended that losing streak. And then, like, 2015 to 2020, South Carolina was just terrible, horrible. Clemson was able to take advantage. But Clemson can't quite do that. South Carolina spoiled any shot they had of getting into the playoffs 2022. And they beat them again in 2024. Something tells me we're going to be seeing quite a battle between Shane Beamer and Dabo Sweeney in the years and years to come. This feels like a playoff first round matchup every year.
Totally. And it's also, in my opinion, I think it's even more fun because they're really good friends. And so I think it's fun that they're so competitive, yet maintain a very healthy relationship off the field and friendship. And I know that kind of might sound hypocritical, but just the idea that they're able to have this competitive rivalry where both of them are completely buying into the legend and the history behind South Carolina versus Clemson, but they're able to still respect one another is a very cool thing to see.
Well, and I'm making sure I've got my research correct, but it's like the two times that South Carolina has defeated Clemson, it's been at Clemson, but they beat them in Columbia this year. It'll be the first time since 2013. I remember that was on Saturday night, same night as A&M Missouri on rivalry week. That's still, and of course that Kit Sits night. Ugh.
Yeah.
But it's like it still feels weird. Texas A&M Missouri on rivalry week. Yuck.
Yeah.
But the position battles going into the spring. What are the position battles that people that love South Carolina football need to watch out for?
I will say that obviously there's a lot on defense that Clayton White, the DC, has to figure out. But at the same time, I think the fill-ins there are a little bit more natural. Like, yes, you're losing Nick Eamon-Worry, but you also have had Judge Collier, behind in the system. So, like, there's still experience there. I think, in short, running back, I think Oscar Attaway will be a huge impact player this year. He took a lot of snaps when Rocket Sanders didn't play in the Citrus Bowl, and he was injured at the time, battling injuries. So, like, that wasn't even a full representation of what Attaway can do. But wide receiver, obviously, you can have more than one, but I think just the star, maybe go-to wide receiver is probably the biggest position battle I would look at right now, because you have a fan favorite, Nick Harbor, who's now giving up spring track to take on spring football, and then you have a young Nazio Bennett who's really great. And then you lost Josh Simon, who was your tight end, who was your leader in receiving yards last year. So and Michael Smith is another talented tight end, but he's injured for spring. So there's definitely, I would say, just on the offensive end and just receiving in general, like, who is Lenoris going to be throwing the ball to most of the time? I think that's probably the biggest question mark right now, or battle.
I'll definitely be keeping an eye on that for sure. And kickoff cannot come soon enough. It's like, oh my God. It's like we're getting closer to week 0. We're getting closer to Thursday night college football, week 1. That week 1 Saturday, week 1 Sunday. It's going to be wild. Like Notre Dame, Miami, and South Carolina, Virginia Tech on the same night. That's going to be amazing right there.
For sure.
And do you want to make a record prediction now, or is it feel like do you want to wait like a few months?
I might need to wait. I'm bad in that sense. I'm a very I look at a lot of things. I don't have bold record takes normally, so I think I'm not quite ready yet. I haven't seen enough of spring practice too.
There you go. While you're at it, you want to make sure you got that Phil Steele magazine. That's always helpful. That's the college football Bible. That's
Yes.
the college football Bible. I mean, I get it every summer
Totally, yeah.
for sure. Um, it feels like to me they can get over the hump. I think they can go at least 10-2. Like I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I feel like they can beat Alabama.
Mhm. I
And
think I agree.
yeah, because like, I don't see Kentucky posing a challenge to anybody. Missouri's up for a down year because like a lot of their wins last year were all one possession. They got lucky against Oklahoma. They had a one possession win against Iowa. That doesn't scream. They don't scream 10 wins to me. It's like really they were 10-3. Really?
Mhm.
Okay. It's like, but don't be surprised if it's like a close loss for Missouri. Uh, man, that LSU. I want to see South Carolina beat LSU, but yeah, this is gonna be an LSU win, and LSU's gonna, scoot their little butts bragging. Like, really, you're gonna brag about beating South Carolina when you beat them in Baton Rouge every time they play? Okay. Um, Ole Miss, I think is a loss, but I think South Carolina gets that playoff berth by beating Clemson.
Mhm.
That's what's gonna happen. But do I think they win a playoff game? Give me till July.
Right. Yeah, I need a little bit more time for that take.
There you go. But A&M, I don't know why, but I want to see more out of Mike Elko. Like he's been amazing at Duke. You don't see anybody winning that much at Duke football usually, unless it's like Wallace Wade. Like bro, like started Alabama football. They left for Duke. Duke named their stadium after him, and Mike Elko, he's pretty cool, but I think he's a little petrified of South Carolina right now.
Yeah, we'll see.
So just don't play it in Columbia.
Right. Don't play it in Willie B.
No, it's like nope, no Willie B. But A&M. So no South Carolina, Georgia for 2025. Mm. But are we eventually going to 9 games for 2026 and beyond? Because like spring meetings are coming. It feels like they're saying yes to it because like some teams they're getting rid of their non-conference games. A few other teams they're not really making any schedule announcements yet.
Mhm.
How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much happening in college sports right now. I feel like that's even just such a small part of it. And if that does happen with the combination of NIL picking up and revenue sharing, I just think college football is going to look so different so soon. But obviously, a lot goes down in Destin, Florida, and, or at least when the spring meetings happen. And I don't necessarily have a ton of insight on that at the moment. It's sort of just waiting to kind of see, I guess, what happens.
Yeah, I mean, because like you're either going to 9 games or you're not. It's like I actually want to see more of South Carolina, North Carolina play one another. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that
It's
would
like,
be.
and it was so much fun watching South Carolina, North Carolina State playing each other Thursday night football in '08 and '09. Like, you got to go against Russell Wilson.
Mhm.
Not everybody can say that.
Certainly not.
No. And it's like NC State, like the thing I remember them for from '08 and '09 was like '08, they started out at 2-6, but they finished season at 6-6. Then went against Rutgers in the Papa John's Bowl, where Rutgers in '08 as well had a sloppy start, 1-5, but then they ended the regular season with 6 straight wins, then won the Papa John's Bowl against NC State.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that was pretty fun seeing both those teams. But alrighty, as we get close to wrapping up episode 66 of the Jacksonian, for those who want to learn more about your takes on South Carolina football and South Carolina women's basketball, amongst topics, where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter or X at Lulu Kesin. I have an Instagram, which is lulu.kesin, and then my Greenville news, if you just search Lulu Kesin, all my articles will be there. And then I think I'm on TikTok. I think it's like Lulu in Sports or Lulu Beyond Sports or something like that. So I try to share my work as much as I can, and I'm fairly easy to find.
Well, here we go. Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Post about the magic that Lulu Kesin is creating on X/Twitter, or as my buddy John calls it, Twits. And check her out on Instagram and however much longer TikTok's going to be. TikTok may be gone by the time this episode's released.
True. You never know. Yeah. But thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And check her out on Greenville News, where you can check it out on Smart Link Bio, @/Twitter, and on Instagram and Threads. And I can tell you right now, they've got some great insight on South Carolina for sure. And yeah, and I think I read something where Bezos is saying he's going to buy TikTok, but I haven't really heard anything. It's like just say whether TikTok's staying or not. Like don't keep us on pins and needles.
Yeah, it's a lot of back and forth for sure.
Agreed. But in the meantime, as for me, you can check me out on Jackson Johnson 979 on not only numerous collaborations where I have with Will and D, where we go over our takes on college basketball on the buzzer beater. I also collab with Austin Williams from Sports Talk with Austin. And of course, you can check out my last 2 episodes of the Jacksonian. One with Grayson Boone at Locked On Wolfpack, and with Ruby Dreher Finley, the production coordinator of College Game Day and the co-host of Ole Miss Live on Ole Miss at the Voice College Football. And thank you all again for helping me get to past 500 subs. I'll need all the help I can get to 1,000 subs. Check me out on Jackson Johnson 979. And of course, watch out for my next episode, episode 67, where I'll be having Cody Stovall from Locked On Oklahoma State, where he goes over his take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys wanting to make the Bedlam a spring game. And for more updates on what I've got going on Alabama at the Voice College Football and on the Jacksonian, check me out on Jackson VOCFB on @/Twitter and on Instagram Threads at Jackson Johnson 543908. And check me out on Blue Sky Jackson Johnson 97, where I not only have my updates on there, but also release my call-ins on the Paul Feinbaum Show once a week. And with that being said, we wish y'all a happy weekend and stay safe, stay cool, stay away from that pollen. Like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss no video whatsoever, and we will see you soon. Take care, everybody.